Okay, David, quick game before we even say hello to anyone. I'm going to ask you a question, and you can only answer with one word. Ready?
That already sounds dangerous, but fine, go.
How are you?
Good.
Wrong.
What? That's literally the correct answer. That's what everyone says.
Exactly. That's the problem. Everybody says good, everybody says fine, and then the conversation just stops, dead, like a door closing.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Fine, no pun intended. Let's actually do this properly. Hi, everyone.
Hi, welcome back. And David, since good doesn't count anymore, try again. How are you really doing today?
Honestly, a little sleepy, a little bit excited, and 90% sure I left my stove on. So there's a small background panic happening too.
See? That's already 10 times more interesting than good. Sleepy, excited, and mildly panicking about your stove. That's a whole personality in one sentence.
It's been a whole personality in one sentence for the last 20 minutes, Sarah. That's the issue.
Go text your neighbor.
I will. After this. Probably. Maybe.
Okay, so today we're diving into something that honestly touches every single day of our lives, whether we notice it or not. Talking about our feelings. Real feelings, not the polite, automatic, I'm fine, you kind.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those topics where, in your own language, you probably already say a lot more than fine. You complain to your mom about your boss, you tell your best friend you're nervous about something, you say you feel a bit off today and can't explain why.
Exactly. But then you switch to English and suddenly your whole emotional vocabulary shrinks down to 3 words. Good, bad, tired.
Tired is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that list.
It really is. So today we're going to fix that a little. We'll walk through real situations, talking to a friend, admitting something's wrong, holding feelings in, letting them out, and along the way there's going to be some really useful vocabulary, a couple of natural phrases, and one proverb that I actually think about a lot in my real life. Not just in English class life, my actual life.
And just a heads up before we start, this isn't going to feel like sitting in a classroom with a list of definitions. We're just going to talk, the way we talk if we were sitting in a cafe together. And somewhere in there, useful English is just going to happen.
It sneaks up on you.
Like a cat, a very grammatically correct cat.
Okay, so let's actually start with that first idea, the wall we build with the word fine. David, be honest. When was the last time someone asked how you were doing and you were absolutely not fine, but you said fine anyway?
Oh, easily this morning. My coworker asked how I was, and I had barely slept. I was stressed about a deadline, and I said, fine. You? Without even thinking. It's automatic. It's like a reflex.
It really is a reflex. It's almost like a word that isn't even connected to your brain anymore. Someone says, how are you? And fine just falls out of your mouth before you even process the question.
Exactly. And I think part of it is we don't want to make the conversation heavy. Like if someone's just walking past you in the hallway and says, how's it going? They're not necessarily ready for a 5-minute answer about your stress levels.
Sure, that's true. There's definitely a difference between small talk and a real conversation. But I think a lot of us do this even with close friends, even with people who actually want to know.
Yeah, that's the part that's a little sad, honestly.
It is. And that's kind of where we want to start today, giving you the tools so that when you do want to say more, you actually have the words ready. Not just fine, not just tired, but something with a little more color to it.
And I actually have a perfect story for this if you want to hear it.
Always go.
Okay, so a few months ago, a friend of mine, I won't say his name, texted me and said, hey, you free this weekend? And normally I would have just said, yeah, what's up? But this time, something in his message felt off. So I called him instead of texting back.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And the second he picked up, his voice cracked a little, and he said, actually, no, I'm not okay. And that was it. That one sentence. He wasn't fine, he said it, and honestly, it felt like this huge weight just landed on the table between us, but in a good way. Like now, we could actually deal with it.
Right, because before that, you two were just going to talk about weekend plans, and underneath there was this whole storm he was carrying alone.
Exactly. And that's actually a really good word for what he was doing before he told me. He was being vulnerable. Have you heard that word before?
I have, yeah. But let's slow down on it a second because I think it's a big one for today's topic. Vulnerable basically means open, unprotected, like you're letting someone see a part of you that could get hurt if they don't handle it carefully.
Yeah, think about it like this. When a turtle pulls its head into its shell, it's protected, right? Safe. Nothing can touch it. But being vulnerable is like stepping your head out of the shell on purpose. It's a little scary because you could get hurt, but it's also the only way anyone can actually reach you.
Oh, I like that. The turtle thing.
I just made that up right now, so, credit to me.
Patent pending. Okay, so you could say something like, it felt vulnerable to admit I was struggling, or I don't like being vulnerable in front of new people.
Exactly. Or even simpler, he was finally vulnerable with me, like what happened with my friend. And once he said that one honest sentence, the whole rest of our conversation changed completely. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours.
2 hours? Wow. 2 hours. And at the end, he actually says something like, "Thanks for listening. I feel so much lighter now." Which, if you think about it, makes total sense with a really old saying that I love. A trouble shared is a trouble halved.
Oh, okay, I like that one. Say it again slowly for everyone.
A trouble shared is a trouble halved. So basically, when you share a problem with someone, talk about it out loud. Tell someone what's bothering you. The problem doesn't necessarily disappear, but it somehow feels smaller, lighter, like it's cut in half just because someone else now knows about it too.
That's such a nice way to put it. It's not magic. The problem is still there, the deadline's still due, the breakup still happened, but somehow carrying it with someone else just feels less heavy than carrying it completely alone.
Exactly. And I actually have my own little story about that proverb too, if that's okay.
Please, yes.
So years ago, before I really understood this idea, I went through a pretty rough month. A lot of things went wrong at the same time. Work stress, family stuff, the whole package. And my instinct was just to disappear a little. Stop replying to messages, stop picking up calls, just deal with it myself.
The classic move.
The classic move. And it did not work, by the way. I just felt worse and worse every single day, like I was carrying this huge bag of rocks by myself up a hill. And then one day, my sister basically forced me to have coffee with her, and she just asked very directly, "Okay, what's actually going on with you?"
And you told her?
Eventually, yeah. I resisted for like the first 10 minutes, giving her the "I'm fine" answer, and she just looked at me like she didn't believe a single word. And finally, I just let it out. Everything. And by the end of that coffee, I genuinely felt like someone had taken half of that bag of rocks off my shoulders.
A trouble shared is a trouble halved.
A trouble shared is a trouble halved. Proven, tested, works in real life, not just in old English things.
I love that. Okay, and speaking of sharing things, before we go further into today's topic, I actually want to pause here for just a minute and talk directly to whoever's listening right now, because I think this fits perfectly with what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So, if you're new here, welcome, genuinely welcome. This is English FB, and honestly, the whole reason this channel exists is kind of connected to exactly what we just talked about. Learning a language alone, in silence, just staring at a textbook, can feel really heavy, like carrying that bag of rocks by yourself.
It really can. A lot of learners feel embarrassed to speak, embarrassed to make mistakes, and they just quietly struggle without telling anyone.
Exactly. And what we're trying to build here is kind of the opposite of that. A place where English doesn't feel like a test you're constantly failing, but more like a conversation you're slowly joining. You listen to us talk, laugh at our nonsense, pick up a phrase here, a word there, and little by little, without pressure, it becomes yours too.
Yeah, no perfect grammar required to be here. No shame if you replay a sentence 5 times because you missed a word. Honestly, we replay our own sentences sometimes, and we're the ones who said them.
That's true more often than I'd like to admit. So if any of this feels useful to you, sticking around, listening to a few more episodes, maybe even leaving a comment telling us how you're actually feeling today, not the automatic fine answer, genuinely means a lot to us. It helps more people find this little corner of the internet.
And it turns this from two people talking into a microphone into an actual conversation with real humans on the other side, which honestly feels a lot less lonely for us too.
It really does. Okay, back to feelings.
Back to feelings.
So we talked about being vulnerable, we talked about sharing troubles. Now let's talk about the opposite. What happens when people do not share, when they just hold everything in?
Oh, I have strong opinions about this one.
I figured you might.
So there's a phrase for this, to bottle something up. Like literally imagining your feelings going into a bottle, and you just keep pushing the cork in tighter and tighter so nothing can escape.
Bottle it up. Okay, I like the image. So if I say he bottles up all his stress, that means...
That means he never talks about it. He just keeps it all inside, pushes it down, acts totally normal on the outside while there's this whole storm happening underneath.
And I'm guessing that doesn't usually end well.
It really doesn't. And I actually grew up watching this happen, honestly. My dad's generation, at least in my family, was very much a bottle it up household. Big feelings just weren't really talked about. If something was wrong, you just worked harder, stayed busy, didn't mention it.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. For everyone, honestly. Even though nobody said it out loud, which is kind of ironic given what we're talking about. And what usually happened is the bottle would stay closed for months, sometimes years, and then one random small thing like, I don't know, someone forgetting to buy milk would suddenly turn into this huge explosion of emotion that had absolutely nothing to do with the milk.
The milk was never really about the milk.
The milk is never about the milk, Sarah. That's a life lesson right there. Write that down.
Okay, so what's the opposite then for someone who really doesn't bottle things up at all?
There's actually a really nice phrase for that too. To wear your heart on your sleeve.
Oh, I love that one. Explain it though for anyone who hasn't heard it.
So imagine your heart, your feelings, your emotions are literally sewn onto your sleeve, right there on your arm for everyone to see. There's no hiding it. If you're sad, everyone knows immediately. If you're excited, it's written all over you.
So someone who wears their heart on their sleeve is someone who shows their emotions really openly.
Exactly, very openly. Sometimes almost too openly. My roommate is honestly the perfect example. If she's having a bad day, you know within about 4 seconds of seeing her face. No mystery, no guessing.
I actually love people like that, though. It makes life easier. You never have to play detective with them.
That's true. There's a comfort to it. You can say something like, she really wears her heart on her sleeve, or I've always worn my heart on my sleeve. I can't hide how I feel, even if I try.
That's actually a really good description of me, too, if I'm honest. I have never once successfully hidden being annoyed at someone.
Never once.
Not one single time. My face just betrays me immediately.
Okay, well, between bottling things up and wearing your heart on your sleeve, most people are somewhere in the middle, honestly, depending on the day, depending on who they're talking to.
Right, and I think that's actually a healthy way to think about it, too. It's not that one is correct and one is wrong. It's more about finding people you trust enough to open that bottle with, even just a little.
That's a good way to put it. And honestly, I think it can even change depending on the topic, too. Like, I might wear my heart on my sleeve about something small. I'll happily tell anyone I'm annoyed my coffee order got messed up, but bottle of something much bigger without even meaning to.
Oh, that's such a good point, actually. It's not always one fixed personality type. Some people bottle up the big stuff and are completely open about the small stuff.
Exactly. And I think that's actually really common. The small annoyances come out easily because they don't feel risky. But the big, scary feelings, the ones that actually matter, those are the ones that quietly get pushed down into the bottle.
Which is kind of ironic, right? The things that need the most sharing are usually the hardest to share.
Completely ironic, yeah. But I guess that's exactly why we're talking about all this today. So that when those bigger moments do come up, there's at least a little more vocabulary ready, so it doesn't feel quite so impossible to put into words.
That's a really nice way to think about it, actually. Okay, should we move into some more specific feelings now? Because I feel like we've talked a lot about the how of sharing feelings, but not so much the actual feeling words themselves.
Yes, let's do that. And let's start with a really common one, because I feel like almost every language learner has felt this exact thing the night before a big test or a big presentation.
Oh, I already know where this is going. The word is restless.
Yep, you got it.
So restless basically means you can't relax. You can't sit still. Your mind keeps racing even though your body might be exhausted. You lie in bed, but sleep just won't come.
It's such a specific, annoying feeling too, because it's not quite the same as being nervous, and it's not quite the same as being tired. It's this weird mix where your body wants to rest, but your brain absolutely refuses to cooperate.
Exactly. And I have such a clear memory of this. The night before my English proficiency exam years ago, I went to bed at 11, completely exhausted from studying all day, and I just lay there, wide awake, staring at the ceiling, going through vocabulary lists in my head over and over.
Oh, that's such a specific kind of torture.
It really is. I remember checking the clock at 1, then at 2:30, then at 4, just thinking, okay, I have 3 hours left before I need to wake up. This is fine. Everything is fine, while absolutely nothing about the situation was fine.
The universal lie we tell ourselves at 4 in the morning.
Exactly. So you could say, I felt so restless the night before my exam, or he's been restless all week waiting for the results.
Or even, the kids were restless during the long car ride, which is a slightly different flavor of restless, more like fidgety, can't sit still physically.
Good point. Yeah, it works for both the mental version and the physical version.
All right, let's balance that one out with something a little softer, a calmer feeling, for contrast.
Perfect timing, because I have one I really like. Content.
Ooh, yes. Content is such an underrated word, honestly.
It really is. So being content doesn't mean you're jumping up and down with excitement. It's quieter than that. It means you're satisfied, at peace, genuinely okay with where things are right now. Not chasing more, not missing anything, just settled.
It's such a specific kind of happiness, too, because it's not loud, it's not fireworks. It's more like a warm, quiet feeling.
Exactly. And I actually had a really clear moment of this recently. I was sitting on my balcony. It was early evening. I had a cup of tea. Nothing exciting was happening at all. Honestly, kind of a boring evening on paper. And I just remember thinking very clearly, I am so content right now.
Nothing dramatic, no big achievement, just a normal evening. That felt good.
Exactly that. And I think that's honestly one of the most underrated feelings because we spend so much energy chasing big, exciting emotions, and sometimes the best moments are just these quiet, content ones that nobody would even notice from the outside.
That's really nicely put. So you could say, I feel really content with my life right now. Or, after the move, we finally feel content in our new apartment.
Or she seemed content just sitting there doing nothing.
Perfect. Okay, I want to bring in one more word, and this one's a bit more bittersweet, if that makes sense.
Ooh, go for it.
The word is wistful.
Wistful. Okay, I know this one a little, but explain it your way.
So wistful is this gentle kind of sadness mixed with longing, usually about the past or about something you miss. It's not heavy crying on the floor sadness. It's much softer than that. Almost peaceful, actually, even though it's technically a sad feeling.
Like nostalgia's quieter cousin.
That's a perfect way to describe it, yeah. So, for example, I was scrolling through old photos on my phone a few weeks ago, and I found this whole album from a trip I took with some university friends, years ago now. And we've all kind of drifted apart since then. Different cities, different lives.
That happens so much, unfortunately.
It really does. In looking at those photos, I wasn't exactly sad, like crying in my room sad, but I got this soft ache looking at everyone's younger faces, remembering how simple everything felt back then. That's wistful.
That's such a specific feeling, and I don't think a lot of learners have the vocabulary to describe that exact emotion, so this is a really good one.
Yeah, you could say, I felt wistful looking at our old photos, or there was a wistful look on her face when she talked about her childhood home.
I really like that one. Okay, and one more word before we move into our final section. This one's about the feeling right before something big happens.
Oh, apprehensive?
You're really good at guessing today.
I've just had a lot of practice feeling apprehensive, honestly. It's basically my personality.
Okay, so apprehensive means feeling worried or uneasy about something that's about to happen. It's a little bit like nervous, but with more of a something might go wrong flavor to it, rather than pure excitement mixed with nerves.
Right. It's less butterflies and excitement and more quiet worry sitting in your stomach. A really good example for me, when I first decided to start recording podcast episodes in English, honestly, I was so apprehensive.
Really? You seem so comfortable now.
Now, sure, but the very first time, I kept thinking, what if I sound stupid? What if I forget words? What if nobody understands what I'm trying to say? I was genuinely apprehensive about even pressing record.
That's honestly really relatable. And I think a lot of our listeners probably feel exactly that before speaking English out loud for the first time with someone.
Completely. And I think that's actually a beautiful little connection back to what we talked about earlier, being vulnerable. Speaking a new language out loud in front of someone is a genuinely vulnerable thing to do. You might make mistakes. Your accent might not be perfect, and that's honestly a little apprehensive making, if that's even a real way to say it.
It works. We'll allow it. So, I feel apprehensive about my job interview tomorrow, or she was apprehensive about telling her parents the news.
Exactly. Both work perfectly. What about you, actually? Do you get apprehensive before things, or are you one of those annoyingly calm people?
Oh no, definitely not calm. I remember my first real job interview years ago in an office downtown, and I got there almost 40 minutes early because I was so apprehensive about being late that I overcorrected completely.
40 minutes? What did you even do for 40 minutes?
I walked around the block probably 6 times. I didn't want to go in too early either because then it looks a little strange, right? So I just kept walking in circles, rehearsing answers to questions in my head, going over and over the same 3 sentences until they barely made sense anymore.
The classic overthinking spiral.
The classic overthinking spiral. And by the time I actually walked in, I think I was more tired from all that apprehensive circling than from anything else that day.
That's so relatable, though, honestly. I think almost everyone has a version of that story. The over-early arrival, the endless mental rehearsal.
Right. And looking back now, it's honestly a little funny. But in the moment, it felt like the most important 40 minutes of my entire life.
That's the thing about being apprehensive, too. It always feels so much bigger in the moment than it does looking back later.
Exactly, which is honestly a nice thing to remind yourself the next time you're feeling that way about something. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to actually ask everyone listening something, kind of connecting to that whole first idea we started with today.
The fine wall.
Exactly that. So here's a small challenge, and genuinely, we'd love to hear your answer in the comments if you're comfortable sharing. Right now, today, how are you actually feeling? Not good, not fine. Pick one of the words we talked about, or honestly, any real feeling word, and tell us why.
Yeah, it could be something small. I feel a bit restless because I have a big meeting tomorrow. Or something bigger. I feel wistful because I just moved away from my hometown. Whatever's true for you.
And honestly, we read every single comment, sitting on the couch, drinking way too much coffee, laughing at some of them, genuinely moved by others. So don't be shy.
It's kind of our own little version of that proverb, actually. A trouble shared is a trouble halved. Even in a comment section, even with strangers on the internet, sharing something real tends to feel lighter than keeping it locked away.
That's such a nice way to bring it back around. Okay, David, should we do our little word tour before we finish up? Just a soft recap, nothing heavy.
Let's do it.
Okay, so today we started by talking about how fine can become this automatic wall we build without even thinking about it, and how being vulnerable, being open, letting someone see the real you, even though it feels a little risky, is often what actually breaks that wall down.
We talked about the proverb, a trouble shared is a trouble halved. The idea that speaking a problem out loud somehow makes it lighter, even if nothing about the actual situation has changed.
We talked about the 2 very different habits people have: to bottle things up, keeping every feeling locked inside with the cork pushed in tight, versus to wear your heart on your sleeve, showing exactly what you feel with no hiding at all.
And then we went through a few feeling words. Restless, that annoying can't sit still, can't sleep feeling. Content, that quiet, satisfied peace with where things are right now. Wistful, that soft, gentle sadness mixed with longing, usually about the past. And apprehensive,
that uneasy worry sitting in your stomach before something big happens.
You really don't need to remember every single one of these today. Honestly, even walking away with just one of them, maybe you just really connected with wistful, or maybe bottle it up perfectly describes someone you know. That's already a win.
Yeah, and next time someone asks how you're doing, maybe try answering with one real sentence instead of the automatic one. I'm doing okay, but I'm honestly a bit apprehensive about this week. Or, I feel really content today, actually. Small sentence, big difference.
It really is. Okay, I think that's a really nice place to end things today.
I think so too. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. This has been Sarah.
And this has been David.
And you've been listening to English FB.
Go easy on yourself this week.
And remember, one honest sentence at a time, your English, and honestly, your feelings too, are going to keep growing. See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.